Hello students, welcome back to our English class. We were dealing with the second lesson of Unit 5, A Prayer in Spring, written by Robert Frost. So I hope you all had recited it. So once again, listen to the poem. Oh, give us pleasure in the flowers today, and give us not to think so far away. And the uncertain harvest keep us here, all simply in the springing of the year. Oh, give us pleasure in the orchard white, like nothing else by day, like ghost by night. And make us happy in the happy bees, the swarm delighting round the perfect trees. And make us happy in the darting bird that suddenly above the bees is heard, the meteor that thrust in with needle bill, and of a blossom in mid-air stands still. For this is love, and nothing else is love, the which it is reserved from God above, to sanctify to what far ends He will, but which it only needs that we fulfill. Let's see the summary of each stanza now. Yes, the first stanza shows the poet's prayer to God for happiness in the moment, because it remembers that the present contains a bunch of wonderful gifts. One of those is springtime, that means a time of rebirth or a time of fertility. In addition to that, the poet asks that we don't put our mind on the uncertain harvest. It means that we don't allow to think about something in the future that is still unreachable and unpredictable. And in the stanza 2, Frost is asking God for happiness, and he wants us to be happy along with everything else God has created. The author wants to observe its beauty of God's creation now and enjoy it, even at night when it resembles ghost. In the last line, he tells us a progression of happy creatures going about their daily routine by expanding their activities in the beautiful trees. In the third stanza, the author asks God for his friends, neighbors, and relatives be able to discover pleasure and joy in these natural springtime. The author relates it with the happiness in the darting bird, a hummingbird that resembles a meteor as it thrush in with needle bills. In the last line, a blossom in mid-air stands still. So, by looking at these situations, the author prays to God for people around him. In the last stanza, the author brings a person to aware and offer his reasoning that all of God's creation is love. He believes that so many things in life are incomprehensible to the human mind and heart. Therefore, must be love to God, and he asks us to send our best gratitude to God for the beautiful of everything. So I hope you understood the meaning of each stanza. Now let us analyze the poem. Look at the rhyming scheme of the poem A Prayer in Spring, written by Robert Frost. The Frost uses the beauty rhyme of A, A, B, B, C, C, D, D, E, E, F, F, G, G. Let us analyze it. With the help of the rhyming words, we can give the alphabet A, B, B, and make the rhyming scheme like this, no? Okay. Now, look at the poetic devices used here. Which are they? Hyperbola, personification, metaphor, simile, etc. So, what is hyperbola? Yes, which shows exaggeration. No, if the poet wants to show his exaggeration there, he will use hyperbola. Here, O is used twice. The first stanza and the second stanza to show the exaggeration of the poet. Personification, what is personification? Yes, it is giving the quality of human being to the non-living thing. See, look at the examples there. Next one is metaphor. Metaphor means comparing two things. Now indirectly comparing two things gives a poetic device, metaphor. And go through the examples, okay? Last one is simile. Simile also it is comparison, but it will be compared with the letter as or like. We have a lot of simile in this poem, so go through the examples and understand it, okay? If there is any doubt, you can ask me. So now let's just go through the appreciation of the poem. A Prayer in Spring by Robert Frost is a 4-stanza poem that is separated in 2 sets of 4 lines known as quatrains. These quatrains follow a consistent rhyming scheme that conforms to a pattern of A A B B C C D D E E F F G G. The simple and straightforward pattern contributes to the overall rhyme of A Prayer in Spring. The meter is structured very consistently as well. The majority of the lines are written in iambic pentameter. This means that each line contains 5 sets of 2 beats known as iambic. The first is unstressed and the second is stressed. It sounds something like da dum, da dum. The constant beat that iambic pentameter leads to a poem works perfectly in A Prayer for Spring. It contributes to the other all calm and meditative tone. It also provides a correct prayer-like beat to Frost words, especially when read out loud. The poem begins with the speaker asking for peace and happiness through nature, but isn't sure if he is going to get it. He feels as though he needs to ask God if it is possible. This request takes the form of a prayer. Otherwise, he is going to be worried about the uncertain harvest, and that's not what he wants to do. Frost's speaker is asking on behalf of everyone around him and perhaps all of humankind. He goes on to ask, the world is given, pleasure in the orchard white. These are the flowers that bloom before the fruit. Everyone should be able to see them and appreciate them without thinking about the fruits to come. He also mentions bees and birds, particularly hummingbirds. These are other elements of the landscape he wants to take pleasure in. Although there is a lot about the world that he is unsure of, the elements which only God understands, he knows that the spring is accessible to everyone. He would like it to be a peaceful, clear-headed time that everyone can enjoy. Frost uses a number of poetic techniques in this poem. One of the most easy spotted is anaphora. This is a repetition of the word or phrase at the beginning of multiple lines. Example, and at the beginning of the 12th line, ho of the first stanza and the second stanza. It is repeated and it is known as anaphora. Another kind of repetition also occurs in the text, that is alliteration. This is present when words are used in succession or at least appear close together and begin with the same letter. For example, simply springing in line 4 of stanza 1 and happy used twice here in the 3rd of the 2nd stanza. And along with this, you have to add the poetic devices like metaphor, simile, personification, hyperbola, etc. Okay? So the overall summary of the poem is A Prayer in Spring poem is a beautiful poem by Robert Frost. The poem is about the expression of God's love and asks us to pray for getting happiness or pleasure like in the springtime that is gifted by God at present and not think of anything unpredictable in the future. Causes a future in God's sacred that is planned for His creatures. So the beauty of this poem also seen of the style that used in this poem, such as nice rhyme A B B C C D D and several kinds of figurative language. So this poem not only good to take the sense but also good and nice to be heard. Okay, go through the poem And if there is any doubt, you can ask me. See you in the next class.